Hey, what's going on, Beowulf Nation? I'm Beowulf back at it with another video. It's like 50 degrees dropping, and being somebody who used to live in the Midwest, this isn't that cold. But here, down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, yeah, this is, when you see me busting out the big heavy-duty jacket, you know it's cold. I'm like almost putting the hoodie on kind of thing. It's crazy. And then it's warming up tomorrow. But I want to share this really cool video. So, you know that I have two Crown Vic police interceptors. Both had the canine police cage in there, and the visibility is very, very, very hard to see when you're driving one of these cars. Now, this product is really cool. Is that you don't have to be in my situation. Anybody who wants to have a in-car camera when you're driving, just in case you get in an accident. Really cool with this thing I'm going to show you guys is it records front and back. And it basically works. Is the coolest thing is a real future tech to where it's a digital rear view mirror, and then it has a camera up front recording in 2.7K of dash cam, and then it's recording in the back. I'm using a 128 gigabyte SD card, micro SD card. So the cool thing is I'm going to mount this where it's inside the car, because I installed this on my other Crown Vic P71. Where it could see in this one, but my cage is split. So basically you want to mount this where it's inside, so where you don't have to worry about the camera getting dirty and stuff from the outside, and then you know what to cut, because it'd be really hard to mount it. You really want to have to equal this height of which my opinion is what your rear view camera would be. So it's cool. It's people with SUV, truck, car, anything that you want to have a dash cam, but then you can see what's behind you. It's awesome, super cool too, because the one thing I really like, so if somebody puts their high beams on, you're not getting blinded with light coming reflecting back onto you when you're driving, which I really like a lot. You have to plug it in to get the device working, so it's not chargeable or whatnot. The other cool thing is with the rear view camera, you don't have to splice into any wires unless you want to splice into your reverse lights. Technically, really, you don't have to, because all it's going to show is you some lines. You really don't need to do that. So let me show you guys what this whole thing is, because I'm hyping it up and nobody's seeing anything. So this is made by AKASO, and this is the D12 mirror dash camera. Now the really cool thing with this, you can find this on my Amazon store. That's amazon.com/shop/IamBeowulf, and pick one of these up. Really cool camera. I actually picked this up for some people for the holidays too, which are going to super love it, that don't have a car like I have. So let's get a little summary of what's all in here. This is what the box will look like when it comes with. Now there's the whole wiring harness that's running to wherever you want it and back. I've already ran it, because when I installed this, get the idea what I'm working with is I have this whole cage. So the wires are already pre-ran to there and back. So when you're installing one of these, obviously you wouldn't be putting the same car with the same setup, because I got the canine sight on there. But you basically want to have it as flush and hidden as possible with the wires. But I'll show you guys kind of, I have left this since I put the cage in. So this is all pulled out, and I have to go through and figure out which part is what with the wiring harness with this. So basically the cool thing too is it has a GPS, which you can mount up on your windshield, so it'll show your speed. So in case you get in a situation where there's an accident, somebody hits you, somebody saying you're speeding, whatnot, you have actually physical proof. But if you're doing something illegal with going super fast, you kind of would get screwed with it. So basically with installing this with this car is I have to remove all this real easy, tuck it all up in here, and then run it up. But that gets you guys an idea of what we're doing on this end. Now, this is what the camera dash looks like. I'm gonna do this all before it gets dark and before it gets super cold. So that part there will be the camera. I don't want to fully pull it out until I'm ready to install it, but you can tell it's not that big, which is really nice. Bigger than your existing rear view mirror on most cars. So this would be where you plug running this to turn the device on. Cool thing, comes with some stuff to pry in. This is the GPS I was telling you about. Now there's different ways you can mount this. I think some of these clips, if you didn't want to, you could put that onto your actual windshield, which I'm curious how somebody would do that. But yeah, two of these, for one for each side, but it actually has a spare. and then this is the camera. Now I'm forgetting what side is. I think this is the right side up. I think so. Well, I think so. You'll have to see once you hook it, because I'm trying to remember how I did the other one and the other car, because I mounted it onto the cage. But basically, you want to, before you put this part on, which they have the adhesive for it, you want to make sure, and I think you have an option too of putting screws that you could screw it, but that's if you're doing it outside. I don't know, be a little careful before you screw stuff in. Try to double, and it has a spare one with it, but you don't want to put the adhesive on until you get the whole device hooked up. So then you know exactly where you want to position the camera, and I kind of get it as dead center as possible, so you actually have a really good view, and then have the device on while you're seeing it. But basically, there's a really long wiring harness that's already there. That's the only thing that's missing, showing in the video. Let's get this all hooked up. It's really plug and play, super easy. So the first step would be, let's get this camera going. But then too is when you're hooking up GPS and this, you'll have to run all this, because obviously you want to have it not record being seen. So I first get the camera on, plug both of these in so you can kind of go running it, because you don't have to back play anything. And then you have to flush up the cable that would be for this camera too. I'm with putting the SD card in. It goes right there. It says in the instructions you have to format it on your computer. I actually found it formatted itself. Just putting it not what the instructions said. That's just for me. Everybody might be different. All right, so I got all these wires tucked up. I'm gonna do a little bit better job, but that's kind of where I put the GPS. Ran all the wires down there. So I want to show you guys how this is click to format SD card, settings, format, so that's with the rear view camera hooked up. Then you can swipe. Back to that. That's basically it. All knocked out. This thing is so cool. The screws, I just used it. I didn't use the screws. I used the double-sided tape up there, and it looks like it's in there. If it does drop down, and I'm probably gonna take the double-sided tape off and screw it. The hard thing is how shaped this the rear window is. It's really hard to stick it to the glass. Ideally, that's where I'd want to put it. And with the cage, it was not an option. It just didn't have a good angle. And the center part there drops down. So I knew that wasn't an option. Plus, it's like closer to the back, because I think the other one's pretty close to the back. But that's basically it. Every vehicle would be different how you're installing it. So the next step I have to do is just, nobody really needs to see that, it's just putting all this away. And this thing is, who knows where all this wiring is going. So there's stuff that I had to zip tie up and figuring out what is what in the car that I got, because it's some next level stuff. It's communication stuff. I mean, who knows what half this wiring is in this vehicle. And all the police stuff. This thing's pretty easy with running wires. Then I actually have like this whole center console where I'll have this. I'll wire this up, so I'll have all these outlets that I'll tap off of that one. This in the future is what I plan on doing. But this is basically it. The double-sided tape on the lens. But this shows you guys too what it looks like from that side. And you can move it around by how your rear view mirror is set up, but this is what works best for me, is because you can angle that camera up to any direction you want it to go, which is pretty cool. So you can find this again on my Amazon store, amazon.com/shop/I'm-Beowulf. Pick you up one of these. Definitely makes a difference, because I do have with my Alpine head, which that's in my Amazon store too. So I have a camera right up here, My other car, I have one drilled right here. So basically I have two cameras facing back, and my head unit has where you can have another camera wired. I'll show you what the other back looks like. Car. So this is part of the rear, my head unit. So this shows you all different style cameras. So this is this one. That camera, I can show you guys where this other camera is mounted. It is right up in there. Easier with this car because it's how this cage is, it's slanted backwards, which worked out the best for mounting a camera. It kind of shows you a little bit up there. So that's what worked best with this car, was mounting. Now every car is going to be totally different mounting it, and not everybody's going to be mounting something like this.